Six, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Oh man, what is up, Geeks and Geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man behind the magic, Joe Garcia.
Hey everybody, what's up? And Mike, it's official. The Hawks have defeated the Bucks. 116, 113.
Wow.
Right as we started talking, I told you they were up like 5, and that time they came right back.
Yep.
Unbelievable. We also got the one and only Jericho.
What's up, y'all?
And joining us once again on loan from the Countdown to WrestleCast. They had a great show the other night. It's the one and only Mike.
What's up, guys? I'm not going to do my usual WrestleCast entrance because I think I'm just jinxing Cesaro at this point. So let that lie for a bit.
Keep the faith, man. Keep the faith. It's going to happen. I promise you. It's going to happen.
I wish I had as much faith as some of y'all have with Restore the Snyderverse, but
no, man. Don't get Ted started on that, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm good. We got it. Like, what else can I ask for right now? It's all right. We're fine. This is a special occasion, right? Because as a group, we've decided we're going to move our Monday shows to Wednesdays and completely mess up JC's weekly schedule. Sorry, JC.
We're going to destroy the timeline.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
Yeah,
we bomb the timeline.
This is a variant episode, just so we all know.
We should all wear shirts that say variant.
We should.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant idea. We're going to talk about that later on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're moving our shows to Wednesday nights in honor of Marvel Studios' Loki series, which is absolutely fantastic if you ask 3 out of the 4 of us. And we're here to talk about episode 3. If you have not seen episode 3 of the Loki series, I'm begging you to pause this video and come back after you watch it, because this is your only warning for spoilers, and we don't want to ruin anything for you. So please pause this video, come back afterwards, and let us know what you thought about episode 3. If you've already seen it, you're watching this video right now, I want you to go down to the comments. Let us know what your theories are. What was your favorite part of this episode?
The end, Ted.
What do you think is going to happen next? We want to hear from you. So I'm going to pose this question out to you. What did you think about episode 3 of Loki, and what are your theories going forward? I'll be sure to type that in the chat here just a second. But first, I'm going to go ahead and quickly go around and just get everybody's sort of overview of the episode. Was it a strong episode? Was it sort of a weaker episode in your mind? And just your overall general thoughts going forward. Mike, let's go ahead and start with you, man. Your overall general thoughts about episode 3.
I mean, again, I generally enjoy it. I know some people have said there was a lot of talking, but for me, with Tom Hiddleston, like the last couple episodes have been a lot of Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, and that's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And then this time, it was mostly Loki with his female variant, Enchantress. They kind of get into that a little bit, but a lot of fun stuff. And I liked the beginning, the very beginning. At first I was like, are they showing where she came from? Because I wasn't really sure what was going on until like about 30 seconds into the little scene. I was like, oh, okay. But again, like Tom Hiddleston he just controls the Loki character, and it's always so much fun to watch. And I think I don't know the actress's name off the top of my head.
Sophia DiMartino.
There you go. Okay.
AKA Sylvie.
I think she does a pretty good job of starting this character and being kind of Loki-like, but with some changes. So for me, it was entertaining.
Absolutely. Jarek, I'm gonna go to you next, man. Your general thoughts about episode 3 of Loki.
Yeah, man, it was a really good episode. Definitely, I would say probably better than episode 2. But I do like that we get a change of pace, because now it's, instead of like Mike said, it was Mobius and Loki for the first 2 episodes, and all the timekeepers and all that stuff, or the TVA. But now it's Loki and his variant. So on the run. Overall, it was a really good episode. I enjoyed it, learned a lot. And yeah, a lot of talking, but I think it's starting to pay off because of stuff that they're showing, stuff that they're revealing. So I think it's one of those where you have to really pay attention to it in order to like really enjoy it.
I agree, and I think that just like WandaVision, I said this on Monday, and I'm gonna say it again. There's things that the writers want you to pay attention to that you don't think you're supposed to. And then there's things that they want you to pay attention to that you're not supposed to, because it's all just to throw you off. It's all, what's the word I'm looking for? That, but there's also a lot of misdirection. And I love that about WandaVision. There's a lot of misdirection. Right, because everybody was like, "It's Mephisto. It's this guy."
A character did say devils
guy
in this episode, so he's probably coming up next episode.
There you go. Right, it's like every episode there's a little hint, but yeah, figure out for yourself what is the misdirection, and then what are the subtle hints at other things. We'll talk about that in a second. Joe, you're up, man. Do you feel better about episode 3 than you did about episode 2? I hope so.
Talky, dude. There's too much talking. You know what I figured out what Loki really reminds me of? It reminds me of a lesser variant of Frasier, except that it doesn't have the good jokes that Frasier did. There's a lot of talking in Frasier, a lot of talking in Loki. Let's get to the good stuff, man. Let's stop with the chit-chat already. We get they're both variants. We understand that part. Nobody here that's watching Loki's dumb. I think Marvel fans in general can catch on pretty quick. You just plant the seed. Okay, they can run with that. They got something tangible to kind of interact with at this point. Let's move forward, Let's get into the meat of things. And I just think that Loki is taking too long to progress. We get a backstory. Okay, cool. I can lose an episode to a backstory. Now we get episode 3. Let's go ahead and talk again. Backstory. At some point, I want to see things move a little bit further up. Let's get into some meat and potatoes stuff. Let's have something really exciting happen. I just didn't think that there was big enough reveals. They tell you stuff that you already assume. In other words, you kind of think about that, and they kind of confirm that, but at the end of the day, again, it's just talking. Tell me about your mom. Let's hear about your mother. It's like, guys, Loki gets drunk. Okay, cool. You know,
Does he? Does he? We'll find
there's
out.
a lot
We'll
of
talk about
things.
it.
You know, it's just saying that this whole episode, I think, is a misdirection. I'll just put it like that.
Could be. Could be. We'll talk about it in a second. What I'm going to do real quick, do a really quick summary. I can do this in like a minute. That's my record so far. So do a quick summary, and then we're getting to the meat and potatoes of it all. Jericho, you going to time me?
Yep. Ready?
Do it.
Yep.
Go.
Loki follows Sylvie back to the TVA. After a brief confrontation with one another, Loki opens a time door to the soon-to-be-destroyed Lament 1. The two struggle to get off the planet with a low battery temp pad and no easy way to charge it. The plan? Sneak onto the Ark, the evacuation vessel, and the last hope for the people on this planet. Throughout their journey, the two find commonalities as well as share stories of how their upbringings were a little different. While breaking out in song and dance, their cover is blown. The long travel afterwards eliminates their chances of reaching the Ark for its power. Unable to get to the ship in time, they fight off guards, helping one another, and face their destiny as the episode ends, just as the moon in orbit comes crashing towards them. Time.
Boom. 11 seconds remaining.
Wow.
Oh,
49 seconds.
New record. Take that, JC. I'm just kidding. Listen, I think the first obvious thing to do is talk about the revelations, right? Because the revelations are pretty concrete in this one. I would say this is the first big revelation, other than Sylvie's appearance. Sylvie's was the first one. Sylvie's reveal was the first revelation. The second one is in this episode when we discovered towards the end that all TVA agents happen to be variants. Jericho's going to remember that we talked about this on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I brought it up. I said, I think this could be a thing. And I'm going to talk about why I thought so going forward. And then we can all discuss. Episode 2, in the very beginning at the fair, the Renaissance Festival, Sylvie is taking out these agents left and right. It was the first time that I noticed that the commanders all have letters and numbers, right? B-15, C-20 is the one that gets abducted and taken away. But all the Minutemen, besides the commanders, they all have really long digits across the top of their helmet. And so it kind of took me by surprise because there's no need for that. Unless, like, Loki has this sort of ID number that they attribute to him. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a long number that is only this Loki from our MCU. I'm wondering if every single Minuteman or agent within TVA also has their identification number on them. And that would mean they all have a variant code at some point in time. So episode 2, noticing those numbers across top, middle of their helmets was the first time I thought about, hey, this could be a thing. And yeah, they could all be variants. And that's the revelation we get in episode 3. Say what's up, baby girl. Say hello.
Hey.
Say hi.
Hello.
Say hi.
Hi.
Or just stare confusingly.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Very
a
good.
variant child.
Yeah.
It's Ted's variant.
There you go. So Jericho, I'll kind of start with you, man, because you were in that discussion on Monday, and then what was the thing that's going through your head as we get this discovery? All the TVA are variants. They're not magically created by the timekeepers at all. So this could set up a lot of different ramifications regarding the story and the origins that we were getting told about what the TVA really is.
Yeah, that I mean, it kind of well, I don't want to say it undoes anything, but I mean, for one thing, it for sure made me, it made me, kind of how do I say it? It reassured, my thought is the fact that, yeah, maybe they are being taken or abducted, or they all, they are variants, but at the same time, where are they keeping the other people? Are they just thrown out through the other timelines, or what have you? But yeah, I mean, just it was before they even said it near the what was like the end of the episode. I think just seeing the Minuteman with Loki, the variant Loki. It was right away. I was like, okay, this is somehow this is her memories, and she is coming up, and it's she doesn't realize that she's in a memory. She was kind of breaking through a little bit. She was kind of like she was about to respond when she was asking where the timekeepers are, and then she would stop. Like it kind of caught her. So yeah, that really, that just really kind of throws a wrench in things, because now it's, for one, where are the other variants, or where's the originals, whatever the case is, and then two, is it the timekeepers that's doing this, and what's their purpose for doing this? Like why have that, but also instilling in the information as far as that everyone was just created. Why not say these are variants or whatever? Like why keep the big secret?
Because they're lying.
Yeah, there's something else going on, which then kind of makes sense with Mobius as far as like why he has the jet ski magazine, because it's something from his past that he's remembering. So I don't know, man. This is crazy. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Mike, we got this revelation that all the agents are variants. What gears are now turning in your head about what that means?
Well, it's funny because just as Jericho was talking about that, something popped back into my head. If you remember Thor Ragnarok, one of the big revelations you get from Hela is that Odin and her, when she was the firstborn, went and ravaged and took over all these worlds or whatever. And then when he realized he had gone too far, he covered it up. And everyone now thinks of Asgard as this wonderful, perfect, he's ruling because they're strong and wise. And, it was a facade. And I think everyone, from the minute we watched that little video in episode 1 about how the TVA came to be, we're like, yeah, no, this is definitely something's up with this. Clearly there's something going on. And so now that you're finding out the variants, it kind of actually makes me wonder, are we going to get a full revelation through the series? There's a lot of speculation with future movies of more time, obviously, Multiverse of Madness. A lot of people are connecting this with Kang the Conqueror, who's supposed to be a villain in Ant-Man 3.
Yeah.
Do we get the full revelation of things, or is this kind of the setup to what will start coming up in the movies? Because, Jericho's right. These are all supposedly variants. Were there real-world counterparts in, I assume, the Sacred Timeline? Where were they pulled from? Were they just all from the different multiverses that were supposedly warring on the original one? It can be fun depending on how much they reveal with that information. So it's like we all had a bad feeling, and we all kind of knew something was wrong with TVA, and now they're just slowly revealing one by one the little faults in it. So
there you go. And Joe, you said earlier that again, this is something that all fans expected, but to what extent do you assume that the TVA is lying, or how deep does the rabbit hole go?
I think you got that from the first episode, because there's big emphasis on Kablooey, the gum, right? And once you know kind of the backstory of Renslayer, she has, like we said in the past, ties and the other storylines that they have of her to Kang the Conqueror. And I think the Loki variant is trying to make things very personable with her. And I think that kind of strikes a chord with her, referring to something that's from her past. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's referring to Kang. It could be something from Renslayer's past that means something to her, and the variant's purposely putting that gum there to send a message to her. So I think Kablooey is the key to all this. Maybe it's a time period where she came from, or maybe something that is referring to what she's hiding from and trying to keep everything a secret. I think Kablooey, from wherever it came from, it means something, I think, to not just the Loki variant, but also to Renslayer herself, And I think another thing too is, at some point in time, you would think that Mobius kind of catches on and kind of knows what's up. I don't think he's as dumb as he's letting on. I think he kind of knows what's going on, and that they're all variants to some degree. He knows something's up, but as far as how much he knows, hasn't been fully explained yet. But even when Loki was trying to ask questions of Mobius, he wasn't very forthcoming with them. It's kind of like he was trying to hide something as well. So I think he's in the know of some information. How much, we really don't know, but I'm sure more and more will be revealed in probably episode 4. I suspect episode 4 will have a little bit to do with Loki and his variant, but I think it's going to have more to do with what's going on behind the scenes with Mobius and Renslayer, and kind of what is she trying to cover up? Maybe Mobius is figuring something out. I think there's going to be some type of back and forth between them. And who knows? At some point in time, maybe Mobius kind of finally flips the switch and wakes up and says, "You know what? I'm joining forces with Sylvie and Loki." But I thought the conversations and the going back and forth, going down memory lane between Loki and Sylvie, was just Loki or Sylvie trying to play one another. I don't actually believe that they're on that planet. I think that's some type of an illusion, because Loki's really not that dumb, to go ahead and have the 10 pad just conveniently break because he took a spill. I think what Loki's doing I think he's trying to play Sylvie, and maybe she's trying to play him to a certain degree. But I think what Loki's doing is he's just trying to get as much information out of Sylvie as far as her plot. What are you trying to do? How are you trying to do this? And they're using this planet that's supposedly going to be destroyed in a matter of moments now, as the key to get as much information as he can out of her, because she's feeding him everything. He's not even trying that hard. She's just giving him information like crazy. And he's like, okay, well, I want to know a little bit more. He's just trying to extract. And he shares a little bit. And that's what she does. He's doing to her what she does to other people when she enchants them. She goes, you have to go and get a memory that they're familiar with, and then you kind of put yourself in it and you become their friend. Isn't that what Loki's doing right now with Sylvie? It's kind of ironic.
No, absolutely. And it's actually something I wrote down. Is this all an illusion? Sylvie would have memories of this planet.
Mhm.
Loki would have knowledge because him and Mobius had to research all future apocalypses
Right.
across the galaxy to find out where this kablooey came from. So Loki very well would have knowledge about what's happening on this planet, but he wouldn't have the memories.
Right.
So if you're trying to figure out, which one of these two is playing the other one by creating this fantasy within their mind, Loki doesn't have enough to be. This is like Inception, right? To be the one with the dream, it has to be Sylvie's memory of this planet, which we knew she was hiding out on several different planets that were about to be destroyed. This is definitely one of them. It's in her history, she said, on the temp pad. She's been here before. She's seen this happen, or at least if she has all the innate details about, what happened, like the rocket never got off the planet. It doesn't necessarily have to happen exactly the way she imagines it, but I figured Loki can play off that and just make something look like it happened this way.
Right.
And that could be it. She takes a nap, and then when she wakes up, Loki is in song and dance, and he's drinking, and he plays a good drunk. Not as good as Vision. Vision's drunk was like the best I've ever seen, like Charlie Chaplin level drunk. So I'm thinking if there's any moment in this episode specifically where Loki's taking the opportunity to put her under her, give her a taste of real medicine, if you will, then it's that. It's not out of the realm of possibility that Loki already knows his power. Have any of us seen it before? No. However, in episode 2, Mobius is listing off the abilities that Loki has. He lists off 2 before Loki cuts him off. And Mobius was just about to say, oh, and my personal favorite, and then Loki cuts him off. We don't know what the third power is. It could very well be enchantment. And it's just something that we've never had an opportunity to see in the movies.
I think we have, Ted. We've seen it.
He used a staff to do it in the past, though.
Yeah, but the staff was just part of that. I think it was probably
It was a Tesseract.
Yeah, I think it was probably
Tesseract is
something
what made it.
that might have already been within him,
Well,
and he's using it to
he
amplify
used the
it.
staff though to tap people in the chest in order to enchant
Right.
Enchant them.
if
But I'm
you
saying
will.
that might have been something that was already in him. Maybe this just made it stronger. You know?
The Mind
I
Stone could have magnified
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
possibly. I think this is a different power, right?
Yeah.
Because the staff would take over people, complete control going forward, and they would do your bidding. This is more of what Sylvie was talking about. For anybody who has a strong mind, and clearly these two are those type of
Right.
people. It's like Inception. You can't make them assume they're dreaming. You have to make the dream real.
Right.
And so that's what this is. And I like it. I like that idea. It helps get us off this planet because the planet's going to be destroyed. And unless Mobius comes in and saves the day, the only other option that I can see is none of this is real. Episode 3 is an illusion. But then what's the end game? What is Loki trying to mean other than knowledge? There was one moment where he actually calls out Sylvie's plan. Your plan is to eliminate the TVA, create a power vacuum, and just walk away after that. She doesn't deny it. And so
Right.
it's like that's probably really the whole thing. My thought though is there has to be something personal for Sylvie in this.
Mhm.
It's not just that she's a variant and she's doing this because it's a survival instinct of hers. I think that there's something personal. She has a vendetta against them, and that's why she's trying to take them out.
Well, it was all about
My
love, Ted. It was centered around love.
Yeah. And didn't she mention something about was it a love affair with a mailman or so?
it was a funny joke, yeah.
Right, or something like that. And of course, mailman had been prominent both in WandaVision and Stan Lee's cameo in Civil War. So
Are you Tony Stank?
Thank yes, he is right here.
I will throw out the theory real quick, and then
Yeah.
you guys can take it away from here. Is that Mobius does have some part to play in all this? Joe spoke earlier about what I brought up on Monday. Mobius has thoughts about the deception of TVA, but you can't bite the hand that feeds you. So he can't outright call them on their lies because he has no leverage, he has no power. That's why he's using Loki. Loki has the skills, the intellect, the creativity to assist him in freeing himself. But does Mobius have a tie to Sylvie in some way? That's going to be the question. Is there a reason why Sylvie's trying to take down the TVA? And does it have to do something with a Minuteman? It might not be Mobius. It might be Commander C-20. Maybe they might know each other or something. I'm not saying that's what it is, but there has to be something personal on why Sylvie's doing all this. It might be Mobius. It might be C-20. Could be Renslayer. Maybe Renslayer has no idea that she's playing a part in this entire deception.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, no. I first of all, on those ideas, I like it too because there was a moment when he was talking to Renslayer. Was it, I guess, the second episode, or maybe it was the first episode, where they're kind of asking, or maybe it was Mobius talking about the timekeepers, and she kind of plays like she knows them, but also just like, I just do what I'm told, and so
They're so busy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But another thing I was going to bring out when you're talking about powers of Loki, there was another weird moment that made you think that they were in something right toward the end when they're fleeing and everything's collapsing, and out of nowhere Loki breaks out like telekinesis.
Yeah.
And just puts the
We've seen that
falling
before,
out.
though. We saw that in episode 2.
He did grab the Roomba, right?
Right.
My son actually thought that it was time that he rewound time for a second because it kind of looked like that. Like it looked like it just lifted the way it fell. And I told him like I don't think it is, but I don't have an argument against
Did
it.
he steal some of those paperweights before he left the TVA?
That's what I'm thinking because
Or none of this is real.
Yeah. As far
Go
as we
ahead.
know, none of this is real.
Well, episode 3 is not real. But yeah continue.
No,
that's-
I mean that was all I saw, and I thought it was kind of odd, kind of late in the episode. So
Everybody was like that. Everybody was like, what the hell was that? No, I completely agree.
And I hope they explain it though, because that is a big a big visual for them to just like kind of throw it under the rug. You know, like they need to show. If this was all an illusion for this whole episode, then okay, fine. You know, we'll accept it. But if they're really there, and then they need to explain like how he was able to do that. And yeah, just like in episode 2, like how was he able to call or summon the object to him to fight? You know, so I'm thinking if this is real, maybe he does have some of the stones with him, and because he knows that if the magic doesn't work there at the TVA, then he knows it works outside. I mean, it's the Infinity Stone. So if his ultimate plan is to somehow escape, maybe he has them somehow, secure and is able to use them when he's out and about.
Remember, he always had the Tesseract around him, and maybe he never let it go. It was just a paperweight. So if he was able to keep it on his person, they really wouldn't care. To them, it's meaningless, But if he gets out in the real world, like you said, Jericho, he can do some things,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Loki, right, and you follow Sylvie through this time door, as soon as you step into the TVA tower, headquarters, whatever, wouldn't you book it right to that desk with all those Infinity Stones and like just in case?
Didn't it
I'm
get
gonna grab all these.
What was her name? The big C-20? Didn't she like incinerate it in episode 1 or 2? Like when they were chasing after him, the first one. Doesn't he have like
he had a push
cart with him?
He had a push
and then doesn't it accidentally get incinerated by one of the sticks? I'm
confused because I thought the stones were in a desk drawer.
They were in a desk drawer.
No, I thought they were in the push cart. Yeah, because like he had just shown up and they were doing something. I thought it was a push cart.
And I know I brought it up.
So they're gone.
And I was going to say I know I brought it up as kind of as a joke, but I think Marvel is ready to get beyond those. And I think that was part of the joke of they're just paperweights, right? They had their Infinity Saga. There's no reason to reutilize them again after they've, supposedly been put back and all that stuff. But I thought it was just kind of funny. But, and she keeps calling him a magician. Oh, you're just a magician then, are you? So, and, his mother's a witch and she played there was like Joe said earlier, a big part about talking about his mother, which always kind of brings back and humanizes Loki.
For sure.
So, again, you don't know. We've seen some powers, but, Marvel can always just kind of be like, oh, well, he learned a few things he's never shown before from his mother. So you never know.
Joe, let's say. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, that's why I put in the group chat, how they're coincidental powers, but also maybe evolving powers. Maybe he has always had these powers before, but as he's going through, trying to finding the variant, all that stuff, and on the run now, maybe he's learning how to do all these powers, or they're kind of evolving within him. So that could be another thing too. Like it seems convenient, but at the same time, I think it's something he's kind of always had in him.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Joe, so you think, kind of like I am, that this is just an illusion, this whole adventure on Lamentus 1. So what's the end game? What's Loki trying to gain? And when will he reveal, the true nature of what's actually happening?
I think he just wants more information from Sylvie. He's trying to figure out more about the TVA, more information against his opponent, his foe. He wants as much intel on them as possible so he can execute his plan to perfection. It's kind of like a military strategy. You want to go in there and you want to do some recon before you actually go and have a full-on attack. And I think that's what Loki's doing. I mean, come on. I mean, he was trained for battle, in all intents and purposes. He's a soldier. So he's been trained with the knowledge of what it takes to win a battle. And not only that, but his father was a general, which is Odin. He would lead the Asgardians into war. So I'm sure Odin taught him all about, tactitional things on the battlefield, strategies and whatnot. So Loki knows some stuff. He knows how to manipulate. He knows how to play the game, and he's a formidable foe. I think one thing that we have not seen from Loki is his full gamut of powers. I think we're made to assume things about him, but Loki is very savvy. Why show all your cards at once when you don't have to?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
And that's kind of what he's been doing to Mobius, but also been doing to Sylvie. He plays all of his cards really close to the chest, and it's almost like he's almost cocky about it, because as they're walking after being thrown and jumped out off of this train, he even tells Sylvie, "This is the longest I've ever walked. Can you just like enchant me and like make me walk all the way over there?" And he keeps playing, kind of like the dumb role, because he doesn't want her to catch on that this is probably an illusion. And so
Right.
even that question to Sylvie, raising that question, like really solidifies it. He's playing her at this point, and it's going to be heartbreaking when she finds out, right? Because the one line I loved, she turns to him right before they try and run to this arc and says, "Do we trust each other?" And he responds, "We do, and you can." How is she going to react when he reveals all this? She's been sleeping on this train, or maybe they're not even on the train. I don't know if this might have happened before. He probably knew how to use his enchantment his entire time, but he's just playing the dumb role because he's been playing this dumb role because he needs to have some leverage. And his
Right.
leverage is not letting people know what he's capable of. And he does it very well.
But you know what? We say all that, but she's a Loki too, right?
Yeah.
She's a variant. So, I mean, I think I'm leaning more toward he's producing the illusion that they're in, but she still clearly has tricks up her sleeve. And I do think like he's trying to garner information from her, and she is telling them some stuff, but we also don't know if we can assume that everything she's telling him is necessarily true. Because another thing that kind of popped in my head, when you're asking like what was his end game, also if you found out that there's variants of you, and then you meet one and it's female, like I know in Norse mythology, Loki is he can kind of be whatever he wants, and even there was that little Easter egg on his file where his gender was fluid. But if someone said, "Oh, there's a variant of you," and then it pops up and it's like a female with different hair color, you can be like, "Okay, how are you a version of me?"
Right.
And I think he's trying to kind of figure out where she comes from and how it all connects, with him too, because he's very vain in the end, right?
Sure.
Like that's always been his thing. He wants the statues built to him, like he did when he assumed the role of Odin.
He's a full tilt diva.
Exactly. So, I think there's also a little bit of like, well, exactly how are you like me? Because, early on he was like, oh, a carbon copy of me or a lesser version of me. But, I think that really does play on him a little bit.
I think one of the things that you can look to this episode to kind of show you that it is, in fact, an illusion is the convenience of everything that's happened, even though it's chaotic. You see these little meteor strikes coming or pieces of the moon that are crashing onto the surface of this planet, but conveniently there's like these big old dump trucks that are positioned strategically, that are in arm's reach, where they can safely run and go and hide beneath them. There's a shed out here that seems to be unaffected by the pieces of the moon coming in and hitting it.
Adamantium, bro. It's made out of adamantium.
They're walking, and it's not really harming them. However, when you get to that last grandiose scene for that arc, you see a big chunk of the moon hit the ground, and it's just laying waste, to the planet, and seemingly nothing really dire is happening, because if the thing is, again, with physics, because I'm a big science buff, if you have a moon and it's that close to Earth and it's going to crash already, the gravitational pull, you're going to feel it. It's going to affect some things. You're going to have gravity waves and whatnot, where the gravity that's keeping us on the planet might start, sucking you into the moon, so you're going to have little pockets where the gravity is not going to act right. That never happened here. Even the explosion from the shuttle didn't seem like everybody just gave up, and they were like, oh, and everybody just go quietly, just, sulking, going around, no chaos ensues. I'm just like, that's not really, I guess, behavior befitting, the end of
Everybody's
times.
kissing their ass goodbye. What are you talking about, Joe?
That's, I mean, at the end of the day, you see something like this
It
happen,
literally is the end
you're
of the
gonna
day,
riot.
yes.
Yeah.
You're gonna riot. You're gonna full on riot if you see something like this happen. You're not gonna just put your head down and go
Earth-
Oh, that's
sulking.
why they were writing to get
Humans,
to the ship.
humans would riot.
No,
We don't know
anybody
what
would. Anybody
people
would.
of
Don't give me
Lamentis
that,
one
Ted.
would
That's
do.
a bunch of lies.
Uh,
They're
The
gonna
end of
act a
season-
different way. Yeah.
Shout out to Brett who's watching the stream. Brett, great buddy of mine.
Well, he had a comment
Uh,
here. Let's
he
read it.
says, I think it's important that female Loki keeps talking about the mission being to take out the TVA. Even more important is the fact that Loki asks her what the plan is afterwards, and she has no plan for it afterwards. Even Loki is surprised by that. Loki always has plans on top of plans. And we
Mhm.
learned this in episode 1. I called out that he tosses his chair out of frustration, but it was only to gain an advantage over Mobius and getting close enough to him because Mobius had to pick him up off the ground to take away his reset clock, watch, whatever that thing was.
Gadget.
So, yeah, Loki's great at playing possum, if you will. He keeps all of his cards really close to the chest. He waits for the opportune moment, and I think that's what he's doing. For right now, it's information. He needs to know what Sylvie's motivations are, but more importantly, he needs to know more about the TVA that he's not aware of, because he knows that not everything is right in what's the phrase? London? I forget.
What?
There's a phrase. There's something fishy going on. Mobius clearly has no idea what it is. He's not going to get anything from Renslayer. He has no access to the archives within this huge library that they have. So he needs more information, and he's going to get that from Sylvie. It's brilliant. Loki is a brilliant character, and I hope it ends well for him. But I can also see the opposite of happening, where one or the other, Loki, Mobius, somebody might not make it out of the series alive. And I think that there's a hero's end for one of them, potentially, possibly. But I'm enjoying the ride this far. Any last thoughts about episode 3? Let's go around real quick. Let's start with Jericho because he's drinking water.
And I knew you were going to do that to me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, so far, great show. This is a really good episode. I'm hoping, because now we're at the halfway mark, so we have 3 more to go.
Man,
I mean, they have a lot of stuff that they need to reveal. I'm curious if the one agent, what was her name, C20, that got abducted. Is she going to recover, or is that like a permanent damage? Things like that. Like, I really want to know. I hope so. I do hope they kind of come back to that. But yeah, at the same time, I'm hoping in the next episode they quickly reveal that this was all an illusion, that they weren't actually on the planet, instead of most of the episode, that they're still there trying to get more information, all that stuff, and then reveal like, hey, this is an illusion the whole time, or whatever the case is. Maybe they do really need to get saved. But yeah, overall, great episode, and I do love the interaction, the chemistry between Loki and Sylvie, because even though she's a variant of him, he's still very much trying to learn about her. These are 2 Lokis, and they're trying to figure out what the differences are between them. And yeah, like this whole upbringing and everything, I think that was really cool to show how the way he was shaped with having his mom there, and the way she was shaped, not even remembering her mom. So who knows how long she had her in her life. Yeah, but overall, I mean, this is a great show. I can't wait to see what's coming up.
there you go. Joe, how about you, sir? Last thoughts or theories about Loki?
It's mad to me. It's like,
Come on.
I haven't been really impressed. I'm gonna be honest. But aside from episode 1, 2, and 3 have kind of been a letdown. I'm hoping 4 will kind of progress and move things further along, because it's getting really stale right now, man. Got to give me something else. Too much talky, dude. I need more action. Need something to happen. I want to see someone get died. I want to see something happen, dude. I'm bored. I want to create
You
chaos.
saw several agents get disintegrated. I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough. I want to see more.
I mean, it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like WandaVision, where the first, what was it, 1 or 2 episodes were
Three
also,
episodes.
yeah, first 3 episodes
all
were kind of
sitcom episodes.
Sitcoms.
yeah. And I remember even my brother-in-law was like, I don't know if I can watch this show because it's boring and they're trying too hard to be, you know, satire and all that stuff. And I was like, that's the whole point of it.
Mhm.
You know, they're doing there's more to it than that. Like there's a whole show thing going on. That's the theme. And then episode 4, huge reveal, you know, and it just really picked up from there. So I know this one is a much shorter season, you know, with Loki. So I'm thinking it's going to be like that. You know, it's the first 2 or 3 episodes. Maybe this is it. Maybe episode 3 was the last of it. And now 4, 5, and 6, it just picks up and just doesn't stop from there. So who knows, you know, like, I don't know.
What do we
They
get
laid the
after
foundation.
Loki?
They know what they're doing, man.
What are we getting after Loki?
What if?
What if? Yeah.
Is that before Hawkeye?
Well, I'm sorry. We're getting Black Widow, right?
Right.
July 9th. I don't know when Hawkeye comes out, but What If comes out late July. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking What If is next.
Oh, okay.
We have another comment from Brett. He says, I'm thinking this is going to end up being an illusion. Them kind of proving to Loki that if you screw with us, this is what's going to end up happening to you. So, Brett, are you saying episode 1 till now is an illusion or just 3?
Maybe
Because
just
if you're saying this whole thing is, then that'd be dope. That'd be crazy. If it's like what was that Schwarzenegger movie?
Total Recall?
Total Recall. If
Yeah.
it's, like you don't know if anything is real or like everything's
Man.
real. Did we ever get a definitive answer about that? They just like let people wonder for 30 years.
I think so. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Brett said he's just referring to episode 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would think so.
He's on board with all of us. Fantastic.
That'd be pretty cool.
Mike, what about you, sir? What say you? Last thoughts about episode 3 or final theories? How does this all end?
I mean, again, I enjoy the Loki character and just his mischief when he's talking with anybody. Like, you never know how much of him is sincere and how much of him is just playing the situation. But what's kind of starting to get in the back of my head that I really am looking forward to in the last 3 episodes, how much of what we've learned here gets resolved within these 6 episodes, and how much of this will move on to other things. Because is the TVA something that's going to be destroyed within this 6 episodes, and then it's the chaos after that? Like, you know, they Marvel introduced Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and like halfway through season 1, we get Winter Soldier, and S.H.I.E.L.D. was basically blown up, and then you have a show about an organization that got thrown up. So is the TVA here for just Loki, or is it going to play a larger role, stick around and play larger roles, since time and multiverse seems to be a big theme of upcoming movies and stuff. And then also, yeah, like y'all keep talking about, you think one of the main characters might die. Is the Sylvie character something that's going to stick around beyond this series? Because I mean, not to get too far ahead of things, but like a lot of people assume that in Black Widow, she's going to kind of pass that mantle on to Florence Pugh's character, and that she may eventually show up in future movies. Captain America passed it on to Falcon to be. Is this the Enchantress going to move on as kind of the next version of the Loki character, or again is she just going to be for this series, and then we don't really see her in the. I'd be interested to see how much of the rest of the series continues outside of it or stays contained in Loki.
I think she's going to go the way of Agatha Harkness. She'll probably
How's
be
that?
available at some point in time, but she's not going to be there per se for maybe the movie. You know what I mean? They might use her at some point in time, maybe in some way in one of the movies, but we don't know when. That's why Agatha's just there available. Oh, if I need you, I know where you are. Maybe the same thing will happen with Sylvie. If I need you or she needs Loki, I know where you are.
Yeah, interesting.
My final thoughts on episode 3, and I was telling Mike earlier that my powers are manifesting. I'm calling all these things. I'm on fire, baby. So where are we going from here? I do think that episode 4 is going to be a huge another game changer. Consider episode 4 of WandaVision, going to be episode 4 of Loki. He needs to get the information back to Mobius that the TVA is lying to everyone. And then I think stuff will hit the fan, and then we'll go on a huge ride from there. I don't know if the timekeepers are real. I don't think so, but I'm not confident enough to call it, just like I wasn't confident enough in my Drew over Lashley pick on Sunday, which is the only one I got wrong on Hell in a Cell. But that's neither here nor there.
What if this is a scenario, Ted?
Wait a minute. So I don't think the timekeepers are real, but there still has to be somebody pulling the strings, trying to keep the illusion going. And I don't think it's Renslayer. I don't think.
Can you think of anyone who there could be? Hi, Kang.
King.
I'm. You know what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to follow the trend and the pattern of WandaVision. They're probably not going to drop any bombs in the MCU in any of these series.
No.
WandaVision was a great story, but there wasn't anything that really affected the wider spectrum of the MCU, at least not to the level that fans were assuming. There was no X-Men, there were no mutants, there were no Mephistos.
Did John Krasinski not show up? I thought he was on.
I thought he did. I thought he was going to.
He was in the background.
No Wolverine, right?
So I'm gonna follow suit. I'm not saying Marvel doesn't have the balls to do something of that magnitude in a series. I just don't think they want to. I think they're willing to just have the consequences, the ramifications confined within the story itself, and that's good enough because it's a great story. So I'm gonna follow suit. They prove me wrong, and if they decide to introduce mutants because chaos ensues and all the timelines go crazy, and Logan shows up and Magneto shows up all of a sudden, then I'm like, okay, that'll just blow my mind. But
this is where Deadpool re-enters the MCU.
No.
So I'm gonna be conservative in that regard. I think that they're willing to. I also think there's no big bad that we're expecting, but there might be somebody above Renslayer, or Renslayer might be somebody we don't expect her to be, and that's going to be the big twist.
No,
the Renslayer twist is coming, and the Mobius connection to Sylvie is also coming. Those are my theories.
Yeah, I think the big bad has been looking you all in the face the whole time. It's something you can't see, but you can feel, and that's love in broken hearts. Maybe that's really the plot behind the whole thing. You know, who knows what's going on with Renslayer? Maybe she's a runaway bride. Maybe she's running away from something. You know, maybe she fell in love with somebody and imprisoned the other timekeeper, so to speak, so she can continue to do what she wants or be with the one she loves, or she's looking or hiding from that person, you know, for some reason. I think that something there's a key there with the timekeepers. Maybe Renslayer, it's a reference to Renslayer and two other people, but she keeps on referring to them as timekeepers, should I say, timekeepers with the TVA, and everybody's under this like enchantment, so to speak. They're living the lie, you know, and doing her bidding, because she's trying real hard to either not be found or something's going on. You know, she's either imprisoned somebody or something, or she don't want to be found, you know. So one of the two, I think, it's going to probably be the easiest, you know, decision to me is when you're thinking about what's happening with this series and where's it going to go, you know?
Yeah. Shout out to Brett again, who's dropping more comments in the chat. Brett says, I just want to see the lizard men this season.
Yeah.
And maybe the lizard men are all Loki variants.
Oh my
Finally,
God, that would be
he
something.
says, Kang, you smell what the Loki's cooking? With the eyebrow, I'm assuming. You know what would be absolutely crazy? And if this happens, I'm willing to say that I didn't see this coming, and you can call. I'm not going to claim it whatsoever.
He will claim it, Jericho.
I'll do it. Yeah.
The writer of Loki happened to be a former writer for
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty,
Right. Yeah.
right? And so I was watching Rick and Morty. The season 5 premiere was yesterday, Sunday
Sunday,
night.
right? Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to watch it, it's actually available on YouTube on Adult Swim's channel. If you don't have cable or whatever, go watch the
Interesting.
season 5 premiere on YouTube. Except for JC, because it's like way over his head. He's never gonna like
Same here.
Rick and
Well,
Morty.
you started him on like episode 4 or season 4, episode 1.
I didn't
Like-
know what was gonna happen. So yeah.
I went back a couple months ago and binged it on HBO Max, and it's fun. Not quite as feverous as the whole world got out of for a while, but it's something fun that takes you out of it for a little while.
So Brett says, "Please God, let there be a pickle Loki."
The Council of
dope.
Lokis.
That's where I was.
Is that
just
where you?
about- That's what I was about to get to. Right. So the one of the biggest, craziest components of Rick and Morty is that he's such a genius, and he's so crafty and clever. He's very Loki like, to be honest. Is that there's a council of multiverse Rick Sanchez's across time and space, and he's still the highest superior Rick Sanchez, of course. But you know, from time to time, he has to go up against them, but they're the ones running everything, right? So it would not surprise me whatsoever that he comes across these timekeepers. Let's say they are timekeepers, and they just happen to be Lokis. They just happen to be like the top most powerful Lokis out there. They're all a certain version of that. But Loki, what if every Loki variant, because clearly they've came across more than one already, right? We saw the slideshow.
Yeah, I was gonna say they made a point to show you all those ones.
They've been hitting up Loki variants for like all time. Loki is the Rick Sanchez of the MCU. So every time they come across a Loki variant, you know what that Loki variant's going to try to do? Take over the TVA. And there's like an infinite amount of them, right? So eventually some are going to succeed. So that's what it is. Everybody,
Well,
you can stop watching. The timekeepers are all Loki.
Okay, I'm gonna make another connection for you, Ted. Mobius. Right, a Mobius strip is like an infinity strip, but it's twisted, and it's almost like an impossible shape. So it comes back to where it starts, right?
Right.
The irony is, and I've read stuff where the writers for Rick and Morty have admitted the Council of Ricks is just a take on Marvel's Council of Reeds, the Reed Richard things that's in the comics for Fantastic Four, and then even DC's done something similar. I assume it's in the comics, but I know in the Flash, what's the smart guy that Tom
Welling plays.
no, not Tom
Wells.
Not Tom Welling.
Wells,
Tom-
sorry, Harry.
Yeah,
Wells.
there's like a Council of Wells.
Yeah.
He, every season he was like becoming a different character. At some point, there was the same thing. So it's a funny idea that Rick and Morty got it from comic book stuff. And now it's like they're coming back around as the writers. So
Listen,
it'd be interesting.
we're so sorry to anybody who's watching this stream right now, and we just spoiled the ending of the show. We apologize. We really do. But you're gonna get the Hulk-looking Loki.
If that
with,
really
like,
is what
the
it
chest
is.
hair, and you're gonna get the what
I
was
want
it?
Thor
the tour,
Loki,
the Tour de France Loki
Yeah.
with like the
the Lance Armstrong Loki. Yeah.
yeah. There you go. So
Oh,
amazing.
man.
I can't wait for next week. Be sure to join the conversation going forward. We'll be here every Wednesday night talking Loki, and can't wait. This is going to be really exciting, to be honest. Real quick before we get off this stream tonight, we need to call out some big news that happened earlier in the week. Sasha Kaye, if you don't know that name, you better figure it out pretty soon. She is playing Supergirl in the upcoming Flash film, and a bunch of photos leaked online from the set of the Flash. Probably not very spectacular looking photos, but I will answer why in a second. But she appears to be playing what most fans are assuming is not Kara, but Laura Kent, which there's a lot of different storylines and origins for Laura in the comics. We don't know which one they're going to play off of, but the suit that she has on in these set photos is very similar to Laura Kent, and not Spider-Man like some of you people were saying online.
I mean,
Drop that
it's just
stuff
funny because she's also on the rigging, because obviously gonna be so. I mean, the color scheme, but I know that the thing will look better once it's in the movie, and
not to mention, for anybody who's still questioning like the quality of the suit, that's not the real suit. That's the harness suit. That's the one that has like a full body contraption under with rigging and everything you need to lift up a person and throw them in the air. So please understand, that's not the final suit. That's not the polished suit. That's the stunt suit. That's just the throw in the sky suit, and then she puts on the real one for all the other filming and footage and all that.
It's like when Brie Larson, they had the picture of her in the green Captain America suit, and people flipped out because they didn't know what it was about. And
Absolutely,
people make the movie, guys. We'll watch it. Don't worry.
Exactly. So I want to go around because
don't ask me about Supergirl. I don't watch it, dude.
No. The movie that hasn't come out yet, not the TV show. Come on, Joe. Stay with me.
I'm saying I don't watch Supergirl.
Wake up, Joe. Wake up.
Stay with me here. Okay, so listen.
Ted's putting me to sleep.
I don't want to take too long on this, but it's we already have pieces, right, of what this is all about. The Flash movie is going to deal with the ramifications of Barry going back in time. It's not the Flashpoint story arc. It's
the Flashpoint of madness.
Of the multiverse of madness flashes. But anywho, we already know Michael Keaton's in this. We've already seen him on set. Now we have Supergirl. We don't have Henry Cavill is not expected to be in this, but things, can change and things might be kept under the radar. But at least, if you're starting to put the pieces together, what does this all mean? I think there's a few options. Option one is Barry goes into this other timeline where we have Keaton's Batman, and maybe we have Supergirl also there as well, and he starts working with them to solve something along those lines and goes on this adventure and what have you. But we also know that Iris West is along for the ride. I think in some set photos is what we assume. Things might change. So is it possible that Barry's not in Keaton's timeline, but maybe Keaton's in Barry's timeline? Right. And is it possible that option B has happened? We no longer have Batfleck as our Bruce Wayne. Maybe we have Keaton going forward. If you believe some tabloids and some blog sites, that may be the case. But if I made a list of all the things blog sites have gotten wrong over the last 10 years, we'd be here all night. So what do you think? Jericho, let's start with you, man. Do you have any thoughts about what is the main plot of The Flash, and how do Supergirl and Keaton's Batman tie into that?
I have no idea what the plot's going to be about. I've seen and read the comics of, Flashpoint. And they do have, like Thomas Wayne comes out, and they have, Barry sees the different, the different universes and all that, the multiverses and stuff. So and for me, I'm thinking that's what's going to happen is we're just seeing, I don't think they're going to be main characters like Superman and Batman. I don't think they're going to be prominent in the movies. I think they're going to, or in the movie, I think they are just going to be more cameos. Maybe have a significant role to where it'll help Barry, but I don't think they're going to be on screen for a super long time. But it's also a huge deal, the fact that they got Michael Keaton back. And
absolutely,
and the fact that we're getting this Supergirl. So, it could go either way, to be honest with you. So I'm just excited either way. Like it just looks amazing, and the director is fantastic. He's done a lot of great movies already. So I'm excited for it, and the suit looks great. Supergirl suit looks amazing. So
yes,
I really like it.
The suit looks good. Her hair looks good. If you took a couple of pages off the comics of Lara Kent, then it's like almost spot on. The only just very small differences, the boots and whatnot. But and then people I saw one guy on Twitter say like, oh man, the suit's so different from Cavill, and he showed like a picture of Henry Cavill's suit from Man of Steel and not BVS, which he wore two different suits. And the BVS one has the Kryptonian language across the chest emblem. And so does Supergirl. So does Sasha Kaya's suit.
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, they're not that different. I don't know why that's some people are trying to make that argument that these are two different suits. It's like, no, they were made
Yeah.
in the same store by the same designer. Joe, what about you, man? You saw the suit. What are your thoughts about it, and how Mike Keaton and Supergirl play into this story?
I'm not quite sure how they're going to play into it. All I know is that I'm here for Michael Keaton showing up. I like the car that they
Yeah.
showed, the picture, of him and that vehicle that they had on set. I think they were showing that he might, make an appearance, but it looks like more than likely it's probably going to be at the end of the movie. It's not like he's going to have a big part, which it's still going to be badass no matter what, to be
Right.
able to go in the theater and experience this with other fans. Supergirl, however, I'm not sure how she's going to fit into the equation. Maybe there's some type of foe that they need to team up with. They need to team up on to defeat, and it could as possibly be crossing, multiple like dimensions or whatnot, of
Right.
course, because you're dealing with the Flash and Flashpoint and all that. So we kind of know what the storyline is in regards to that. But it's interesting nonetheless. You're gonna get a continuation of a Flash story. We've already, loved the Flash as a character from what we've seen in the
Yeah.
most recent, like, uh you know movies that Snyder has directed,
Snyder Cut, yes.
Snyder cuts and whatnot, going back to the Batman versus Superman. We've seen all these things kind of lead up to this point, and it's interesting, to see what direction they're going to want to go with this, because with the comic book, it's so grandiose, the storyline, but when it comes to a movie, you kind of get to the points really really quickly, and you got to condense everything. So to me, it's going to be interesting to see how they can go ahead and condense such a grandiose story in a format that's friendly for the big screen. And not only that, but what are they going to deliver to the fans?
Absolutely. I've talked about it before. You don't bring in Keaton unless you really want to dive into the multiverse and how bad things can get when you try
Yeah.
and mess with it. So I hope they do something big story,
Hey,
big
Ted,
plot.
maybe we'll get the bad variant of the Justice League. That'd be badass.
You know what? Like you kind of just brought this thought up into my head. We really don't have a villain yet for this Flash movie.
Right.
We keep
No.
talking about what heroes are in this thing, and nobody's asked the question, well, who's the damn villain?
Keaton is the villain.
Oh.
Hey, man.
I mean, it's possible.
It's not like it hasn't happened before. Kevin Conroy played an evil Batman in the CW crossover,
Yeah.
and it was incredible.
It was.
So that would be dope if that happened. Mike, you've seen the suit. What are your thoughts on it? And any ideas about the roles that Keaton's going to play?
Well, I mean, as far as the suit, like I don't flip out one way or the other too much about it. Like it's a production photo,
Right.
like you said, she's in the rig. Unless it was some purple and yellow, like totally not
Right.
Supergirl related thing that they just totally changed the character. Like, and honestly, I don't personally know as well the Laura Kent Supergirl character. I'm more used to what is it, the Kara Kent or Danvers? No, Danvers is the other one.
Yeah.
The blonde Supergirl is generally what we see.
Yeah.
But so I know there's variants in different versions, but I mean, as far as the suit goes, I'm fine. I let the movie come first, or let's get closer to it and see some photos of her or a trailer before we start flipping out. As far as the movie and Flashpoint, I would say as much as Civil War was 10 superheroes fighting on a tarmac and not the entire Marvel universe fighting each other over rights of mutants, I would expect Flashpoint, like Joe said, to be the big grandiose comic book version. I honestly kind of think it's going to be more similar to the TV show where they've done sometimes where early in the movie he has to run super fast to save something. He gets lost in another universe, or 2 or 3, whatever, and he meets. And I don't even know if Keaton and Laura Kent Supergirl are on the same Earth. It may be he's Earth hopping a few times, runs into them, maybe
and
kind
takes
of
them along for the ride.
I mean, kind of puts together a team
It's
Yeah.
like a Bill and
People
Ted
or-
Excellent Adventure. They're like going
There you
around
go.
like
See,
There you go, right?
Machete saw the
Um,
movie, he loved it, and took the idea.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
like the Justice League, Mike. I'm putting together a team.
Well, I mean, again, there's several movies on MCU and DC that are very similar in themes. A lot of people are saying, for instance, Spider-Man, because we've heard about all these villains from the older Spider-Man movies, that they're going to put together a multiverse Sinister Six, where it's
Right.
some from Tobey Maguire's universe, some from Andrew Garfield's, the rest from.
that's
So,
dope.
I mean, I'm not saying they're copying each other because they've always done the same things between Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
They use a lot of same, but it may be a similar thing because also in the bigger picture, WB, I know you don't like it, WB clearly wants to get away from the Snyderverse and kind of change things. WB was saying the Flash is going to kind of reset their cinematic universe. So maybe in the process of this, like you said, Batfleck is gone. Keaton's Batman is in.
And Cavill's gone.
Cavill's gone, but Supergirl's in for now until maybe down the road they bring a new Superman into this universe. And DC's also said, or WB said, instead of just one connected universe, they're kind of playing on the multiverse because there's the Robert Pattinson Batman, but then there's also Joker, which is somehow connected, but maybe not to any of the Batmans we know so far. So,
Yeah.
I think they're playing on the different Earths. And I think Keaton and Supergirl, among whoever else shows up, maybe from different Earths as he's hopping, trying to, because even though we're not sure if the Snyder cut is
Canon.
and most people will say it's not according to WB, when he does that time thing, he doesn't really know how he does it. He just knows if he runs fast, he can change things. So, again, in the TV show, a lot of times he doesn't know how powerful his Speed Force is. And then he winds up lost and having to figure out how to get back or things like that. So I think that's probably going to play into it in this.
I hope we get to see Grodd. I want to see him at some point.
That would be super cool.
That'd be
with a
dope.
movie budget for it, that'd be super cool.
Yeah, that would be
That
dope.
That'd be absolutely dope. As long as you get what's his name, the guy that always plays the mocap, Andy
Andy
Serkis.
Serkis.
Andy Serkis plays Grodd. Oh my god, can you imagine Andy Serkis voicing Grodd?
Grodd.
Oh my god, I'm getting goosebumps.
Would you
thinking
play him
about
like
it.
Planet of the Apes type or?
I don't know. He had to have his own personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, Andy doing a Grodd voice would be incredible. I could see that happening. So yeah, listen, I am almost concerned, right? Almost concerned, not yet. I love the look that Sasha Kaye has. I love that.
I like the sash. Did you
director,
see it was
Andy
like a sash,
Muschietti.
right? Like she had a
No.
sash with the uniform. It kind of looked, instead of like a cape, it was kind of like a little sash that she had as part of the costume.
I haven't seen that photo yet. If that one's in there, or it might be. There's a lot of fan art out there. Maybe that's what.
No,
You
it
might
looked
have
like it
seen.
was an actual like part of the costume. Like she had a sash or something. Kind of almost looked like a reminiscent of a dress, but it was kind of like a sash instead of a cape.
You have to show us that one, Joe.
Haven't seen that yet. Yeah, I haven't seen one like that just yet. But I was gonna say, super excited that we have this actress Sasha Kaye playing Supergirl, and let's see if they play her as Lara Kent. Right, that might not be even a thing, but all the fans are just assuming. I don't know. I said that if you bring in Keaton, the only right way to do it is to have Barry mess up the Burtonverse, and not mess up in the sense that everything goes to hell, but you have to fix it then, right? He goes in, he messes with the Burtonverse, and then he has to help remediate or fix whatever he screwed up with the help of Keaton's Batman.
As long as we
And
get
that's
Michelle
how I
Pfeiffer's
saw things play
Catwoman, I'm
out.
down, dude.
Listen, right? WB, not DC. WB needs to have those type of bold ideas. You have to bring out the villains from the Burtonverse, or introduce one from the Burtonverse, a new one from the Burtonverse. That would be completely dope. I would absolutely love it. And I would just be concerned if all this was just to replace old heroes. I
Well,
do not want that.
you know,
Either replacing old heroes or taking Ezra Miller's Barry out of what we're calling DCEU proper, and now putting him in with these other heroes, now we lose our Flash. So like, I'm not gonna say I know what road they're taking, but it's got to be one of these. It can't just be like everything's good and everybody's gonna be playing the role again someday. Like, no, some people are getting cut out eventually, or it's like Raw and SmackDown. You're putting this guy over in SmackDown, or you're taking them away from Raw.
They're gonna have a draft.
DCU draft.
That's what it
DCU
feels
draft.
like, man. Brett's in here. He says, of course, Keaton as Thomas Wayne Batman would be awesome. No complaints here. I agree. And he also mentioned bringing in Keaton and introducing Terry McGinnis into this world would be dope. And I completely agree.
I think that's what people are expecting.
We are well overdue for Batman Beyond film or project. I'd rather see Batman Beyond as a limited series or a series on HBO.
No, I want to see it as a film, like a couple, like
They could
a
totally make it
trilogy
into
or
a good
something,
film.
dude.
Yeah.
I want
But
it in
don't
the
you-
sense of like Daredevil. Like Daredevil was solid, and you got to see a lot of him going around Hell's Kitchen and like doing work and stuff like that. I'd rather see Terry McGinnis as Batman Beyond in that, small, gritty, heavily fight influence.
Maybe you'll get that coming to Discovery Plus soon.
Ooh. There you go.
Hey, Brett also has another comment here. I don't know if you want to read it off.
For sure. Bring in the Legion of Doom with that sweet swamp bass from Super Friends that looked like
Yes.
Vader's helmet, right? Darth
Yeah.
Vader's helmet. That's what I always saw. I don't know what everybody else already saw.
That's what I saw too.
And-
Darth
and-
Vader's helmet, yeah.
Yeah. there you
Who's
go.
who's Lex Luthor, and is it still
We'll see at the
this is
draft. We'll
the
see at
draft.
the Raw and SmackDown draft.
You're gonna have
Right?
several Lex Luthers. You take your pick, Mike.
is Michael Rosenbaum still available for this draft, or
I don't know.
what was his name?
That guy's so picky when it comes to these
Yeah,
things.
no, I've
You have,
heard, yeah.
yeah, and it's not a knock on Rosenbaum, but it's like, come on, man, just
You know,
do a solid for the fans.
I had a thought. I think it would be a fun thought that we could do here,
Right back.
on the show. Like we could
Uh-huh.
have a Justice League draft, and we get the superheroes and we put them up on the board, and each one of us has to pick, from what's available. We even have the ping pong balls and whatnot, so we can select the order and say, okay, put together your team with what's on the board right now. Go. That would be fun.
If anybody picks Superman in front of JC, he's gonna hurt y'all.
He's gonna riot. He's gonna.
But what version
riot.
of Superman do you put on?
That's true.
He'd probably take Tom Welling from Smallville, I think. So.
Uh-oh.
He'd take Welling. I would probably take Reeves. I don't know, something like that.
Hey, bud.
What's up, Mikey?
He's just waking up from a nap. He's like, leave me alone.
Oh yeah.
He's like, you guys are talking too much, man.
Talky, talky,
Gotta
talky.
sleep.
He's
I
probably
had
more
the
like
monitor here, so
He's like, you
oh,
learned
I
like
saw him.
episode 3 of Loki. Come on, guys.
y'all spoiled everything. I could hear everything you guys were talking about.
Hey,
Anyways,
Hey, bud.
he looks awesome.
Yeah.
All right, listen. That was our thoughts not only on Loki episode 3, but also on the set photos of Sasha Kaye, Michael Keaton, and Ezra Miller from the set of the Flash movie, which is filming right now. A lot of news going on. We're not going to talk about, but we might talk about it later on. If you want to see the latest trailer for James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, you do, I promise. Go to our Facebook page and check that out. We also we didn't drop it, but they dropped the trailer for Candyman earlier today.
Ooh,
It looked so dope.
I totally
man.
forgot that movie was coming out. Like,
It
and
looks
then I saw the
so
show,
dope.
like, holy crap! I can't
There
wait.
you go. The Borderlands film has wrapped in just under 3 months. Not sure how they did that so quickly, but that's pretty dope. We're getting a new Transformers movie, Rise of the Beasts. It's not official yet if that's a Bumblebee sequel or if it's following the trail of the Bay films. I'm kind of leaning towards Bumblebee sequel, but don't hold me to that until
Is
we
it
get
the return to
official word.
Shia LaBeouf? Is it like when Fast
no,
and Furious
man.
brought back everybody?
No,
That's true, if they
they're
need to.
actually dropping what's his face, Anthony from in the Heights, Anthony
Oh,
Ramos,
that dude, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
who's living his best life right now. I mean,
Mhm.
Hamilton, and he went over to do in the Heights, or what is
Yeah.
that? Is it in the Heights?
In the Heights,
the
right?
In the
Yeah.
Heights.
He's
Yeah.
been in a few other things too. I think he was like in the most recent Godzilla films. He was like one of the soldiers, and now I think he's being the lead in the Transformer movie, right?
He's the lead.
That's huge.
Wow.
That's why I said he's living his best life right now, man.
I mean,
Dang.
they didn't want a Boston, Texan with a Boston accent, to come
Oh
back.
wow.
Mark Wahlberg, is that what you're
Transformer.
talking about? Oh,
Yeah.
who knows anymore? Anyways, if you want to find all that news and plenty more, head on over to our Facebook page and just go down the list, man. That's what we're here for, to drop news fast and accurate without all the clickbait. And that's what the Geekcast is all about. Stay tuned. Next week, we're going to talk more about Loki. And then Jericho and I are also reviewing each and every episode of The Bad Batch and trying to get ahead of their finale later on in a couple of
I'm all
months.
caught up with the Bad Batch, by the way.
Fantastic.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to follow us on our Bad Batch discussion series, those videos are going to drop on YouTube this week. And, catch up with us, talk Bad Batch, and let's get excited because it's a great show. And also, very soon, probably next week when Jericho gets back from vacation, we're going to recap the entire first half of Superman and Lois, which
Whoop,
has
whoop.
been one of the best new series in a very long time.
I'm
If
loved
you
it.
haven't
Loved it.
if you haven't started it, I highly recommend you start it. It's very high quality. It's a high production value, and everybody in the cast is great and fantastic. And it's refreshing to see Clark Kent in sort of this new perspective of
Yeah.
a family man. It adds a whole list of new obstacles and issues to face and
We
overcome.
need
I highly
to
recommend it.
convince Rob to watch it. I
I
know he said
couldn't
he's done
pay
with
that
CW,
guy. Yeah.
but he also he was a huge fan of Smallville, and I know it's not comparison to it,
So
but
let's just lie to him and say that Tom Welling shows up.
true.
Rob,
Yeah,
in
the crossover
episode
event.
10, yeah, Tom Welling shows up, bro. You gotta check it out. It's the
Yeah,
best
man.
ever.
He's a garbage man in Smallville now.
Poor CW Supergirl, man.
Yeah,
They were
we,
like,
we will talk about that too.
I've told JC this before. I feel bad 'cause it's like they brought her on. They're like, look, it's Supergirl. We got a female superhero lead, and then people are like, oh, we want Superman. So they kind of brought him in, but I know I watched a few of those episodes, and they're like, she doesn't need her cousin. And then a couple seasons later, like, no, we just want Superman.
They should have put her with or introduced her in this new Superman series. I think that would have been cool to have like the whole family together.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Wonder
go.
if she moved on to other
But-
things.
It's like I said. I know we're getting off topic, but it's like I said. Her show lasted 6 seasons, and I think that says something. For one thing, it's a female-led show.
Yeah.
About a character that has never had her own show. I think she had a movie.
In the 80s, right?
That's like the
Yeah.
most. Yeah, that's the most we ever got was a movie, and that's about it. And besides comics and all that stuff. So I think this really says a lot. I was a huge fan of the show. I haven't finished this last season, but I think it really had a great message behind it. Just other heroes just came about and just kind of put her in the dark.
Yeah.
I can see that. I think we'll talk about that another time, but I think a lot of it has to do with how interesting the villains are. When you start getting into some really deep cut villains that I can't even follow, then I think it's really tough to kind of stay engaged. But I'm not going to say that's the only thing, but that's just what it kind of is for me. And I got to catch up. I really do.
Yeah. You need to watch Sweet Tooth as
really
well.
like the series. Sweet Tooth is on the way.
John Cryer as Lex Luthor was a huge surprise for
Amazing.
me, but it actually works.
Oh,
It
totally.
works. So I wouldn't mind
Totally.
him in the DC EU, whatever, the cinematic, movie verse. That would be
Yeah,
cool.
I only really saw him when he did the crossover episodes, but yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did a really good job.
Mhm.
I thought he was gonna come on and do his ducky bit,
I was thinking the 2.5 Men version.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Fantastic. All right, gentlemen. And that'll do it for this episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. Once again, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Loki episode 3? Drop them in the comments below, or you can always send us a message by clicking the send message button on Facebook or send us an email by reaching us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegekcast.com. Thank you for following. Thank you for watching this video. Shout out to Brett, who was dropping all the big laughs and jokes and comments tonight. Have a good night, sir. Great talking to you again. And hey, listen, while you're out there, if you like the show, please write us a review on Apple iTunes. We would very much appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who's already done so. We appreciate you guys immensely. And writing 5-star reviews for us always helps out the podcast in the long run. For the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man behind the magic, Joe Garcia.
Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. We greatly appreciate it. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It would greatly benefit us as far as getting in the rankings and also bringing you even bigger and better shows. So thank you guys for watching, interacting with us, and thank you guys for the comments.
We also got the one and only Mikey.
Thanks, guys. And JC would probably not like it if I didn't remind y'all that next Tuesday, so now it's a week away, we'll be back on the WrestleCast 9 p.m. live. 9 a.m. live. 9 a.m.
Wow.
Whoa. Morning show. Welcome. No.
You're the one on summer break, not him.
Yeah, right. 9 p.m. live, and we are going to be doing kind of a game, which I think hopefully should garner some interesting conversations on there.
Nice.
So join us, and maybe next Wednesday you'll get back actual JC on Wish JC when you order it off of Wish.
Oh,
Real
my
JC will be
God.
back next week. So be good to each other, guys.
So good. And last but never the least, it's Jericho.
Later, y'all. Glad to be back on 5 episodes. I think I've recorded 5 episodes in 2 weeks, so pretty safe
That's a
to
record.
say. Yeah, I think it's the most I've done since he was born.
Oh, wow.
So safe to say I'm back.
Excellent.
It's good to
And
be
with a
here.
vengeance.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody. See you next week.
Yep. Good night.
Bye, guys.